I'm sorry.
And we are about to do a band none of us have ever heard before or heard anything about.
I just hope this song's not whack.
This is Thy Art is Murder. That's the name of the band. Murder!
Murder!
Murder! And the name of the song is Holy War.
Alright.
So,
I don't have high hopes. I feel like the last few songs that we've been putting out, I've just been, I don't know.
She didn't like the Megadeth song.
It was boring. It was so boring.
Blasphemous.
I couldn't stop saying how bored I was after we stopped recording.
Really? Yeah, you did. You were horrible. You were absolutely.
It kind of put me in a bad mood because I was so bored with it.
I was gonna say you sound pretty miserable right now.
Yeah, because I want to hear some good music. Come on, send us some good music, you guys.
These are these people's they think it's good music.
I know, and I feel bad because I feel like I should say, oh no, it's good because I don't want to make you feel sad. But at the same time, if I think it's whack, man, I think it's whack. Anyway, you ready?
Mood swings, ladies and gentlemen. Yesterday she woke up, she was like, hey, Vin!
I know, it was such a nice way to wake up.
Yeah.
I was like laughing.
I was like,
so
who
happy.
is this person? I was like checking your neck to see if your battery pack was all, like, who is this? And now we're back to regular Sori.
Yeah, I'm like, what the heck, man?
Yeah.
Whack ass song.
Yeah.
This better be good.
Well, I woke up and, I did my shower thing. I came out and you were still sleeping. I was like, this is going to be a bad day.
I did not want to get out of bed.
Yeah, it's going to be a bad day.
What the heck? The sun is up. Are you friggin' serious?
Unbelievable. All right. Thy Art is Murder.
Okay.
Holy War. Let's do it. I like this.
Me too.
Sounds ominous.
man.
You were.
Wow.
Look at that.
Why would you throw those?
They don't know what that is. That was probably not a good idea. I was a little excited.
Oh my god. Wow, man.
Ooh. I'm telling you right now, this is Song of the Week. Song of the Week.
Man, I was losing hope.
Song of the week.
Yes. Seriously, you've restored my hope in your song suggestions.
Yeah, you guys kind of.
This one has been asked for since the freaking beginning.
A lot.
Because I remember people saying Holy War.
Once we did Ghosts, people were like, "Oh shit, they're willing to listen to well, Holy Wall," and we never did.
No, people asked for it early.
Ooh.
It's on my first list that I made.
Is it?
Yes.
Shit.
Yeah.
That was like
Wow, man.
a month ago.
Yeah, I know. But still, 4 weeks is a long time.
Damn. Die for Christ.
All right.
Die for Allah. Die for Jerusalem. Die for Torah. Whoo. That's a deep line, yo. That is a deep line.
Well, what do you mean? What do you get from it? I mean, it seemed pretty face value to me.
Well, die for Christ.
Yeah.
That's obvious. Die for Allah.
Yeah.
Die for Jerusalem. Die for Torah. Mm-hmm. There are a couple episodes in history where all three of those converged. Allah, Christ, and Torah converged over Jerusalem. So one would be the Crusades,
Yep.
right? Where the Jews were not really actors in the Crusade. It was really Salahuddin. Salahuddin was the Muslim side, and then you had the Crusaders were the Christian side, right? Mm-hmm. And they were fighting over Jerusalem,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I mean, honestly, in that side, I take actually Salahuddin's side because radiallahu anhu. I mean, I love Salahuddin. If you look at the history of Salahuddin, he was a beautiful. I mean, he was a warrior. He was terrible. But compared to the fucking Crusaders, he was great. I mean, the Jews used to run to Salahuddin.
Oh, yes.
To save them.
I remember that.
To save them from the Crusaders. So,
Yep.
whatever. Most people know him as Saladin, but his actual name is Salahuddin. But who cares? So there's that, right?
Yep.
And in the modern day, with the establishment of the State of Israel in 1948, this is crazy because you almost never hear any criticisms of the Israelis in this whole in the whole religious war shit.
Yeah.
It's usually going after us and then the Muslims.
Yep.
You never hear anybody going after
this is the first time that I've ever heard it.
the Israelis. But so what happens is at 1948, the establishment of the Jewish state, it was post-Holocaust, and so terrible situation with Jewish people. They got their own land, and then basically the land got divided up, right? And then not necessarily Jerusalem, but you have these areas that said, okay, this is the Jewish side, this is the Palestinian side.
Yep.
And then you have these areas called settlements, where the Jews basically say, it's our land because the Bible says so, and even though it's Palestinian land, we're gonna fucking live there, we're gonna cut down your olive trees and set up a fucking settlement here, there's nothing you can do about it. So when you see these people like blowing up pizza shops and shit, it's because of that shit.
Wow. Okay.
Because you're fucking oppressing these people. You make them go through checkpoints and all this shit, but they're doing it. A lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them are doing it for religious reasons. Remember we were watching Homeland, and Saul went to Israel to visit his sister.
Yeah.
He was like, "You don't belong here."
Right.
So there's a ton of Jewish people in Israel saying, "Yo, you guys can't do that. You can't go over these people's land. Like, we've got land, they've got land. Stay where you belong."
Yeah.
And they're like, "No, Torah says we can do this."
Wow.
Because if you look at where God gave the land dimensions to Abraham, it goes all the way to Jordan.
Right.
To the state of Jordan, right?
Yep.
So if you look at it from that perspective, when they go into a settlement, they're saying, look, we're being nice. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, like, die for Torah is huge.
Yep.
Like, that's like, because these people are setting up shop in that land and they're doing a bunch of crazy shit, man. That's a crazy line to me. because you almost never hear that talked about. But
No, it's true.
You always hear like the guy blows himself up on a bus, and you go, "Oh shit, look at these terrorists, these Muslim fucking, whatever," and you never hear the other side of it. Like, and I'm not justifying that, obviously, as a Christian. I mean, we're pacifists, so we don't believe that we should engage in any sort of like martial combat where you end people's lives. But at the same time, I also know human nature. And you set up shop in I was watching this video where this woman lost her baby. Palestinian woman lost her baby because she couldn't make it past the Israeli checkpoint.
Oh, come on. Are you serious?
Yeah, man, yeah. So it fuels that type of angst. Now, of course, the Israelis are saying, well, there's a reason there's a checkpoint, motherfucker. There's Palestinians trying to blow us up for Allah. So it's like this is crazy, like back and forth. That the normal person is like in the middle of it. And you're like, whose side are you on? Because now when I tell you about the Palestinian lady, you're like, fuck, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Well, there's a Jewish lady that can say, yeah, my kid, my wife was on the way to the hospital and she got blown to smithereens. So then you're mad at the Palestinians.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But that's crazy. Die for Torah. That's insane. I can't believe you went there. Woo!
You wasn't playing.
It's a form of manifest destiny. Manifest destiny is this idea that you take the combat passages in the Old Testament that was meant for that place and time in that specific region, and then you try to apply them to today.
Yeah.
And say, oh, that's
Yeah.
Which, of course, I say it all the time. We'll probably do a podcast about Old Testament violence because it's a
oh my gosh, for
it's
sure.
a troublesome, terrible situation, and how do you reconcile that as a Jesus follower and all the rest of it? But I mean, it's there. Die for Christ, die for Allah. Whoo! We need to get a Muslim. We've got a couple Muslim dudes in the village, so we need to get those guys on, and because they've had to deal with the same conflicts we've had to deal with, right? There are violent passages in the Quran, and there's violent passages in the Hadith, and there's violent passages in the Torah. How do we all reconcile that? Because everybody in the village is, from my understanding, pretty non-violent and doesn't believe in killing. But there's definitely, passages about fighting in jihad in the Quran.
Oh, I didn't realize that a lot of people in the village are pacifistic. I didn't realize that.
Well, I don't know if they're pacifistic, but I could bet my firstborn that none of the Muslim followers of the village.
Oh, you're talking about the Muslim followers. Oh.
Or Jewish or any. I'm sure we've got Jewish folks, and I don't think any of them condone like killing innocent people. Like there's no Muslim that would say, "Oh yeah, for sure, jump on a bus and blow yourself to smithereens and kill a bunch of kids." Like nobody believes that in our little subculture. So but it's got to be talked about because there are violent passages in the Quran that if you don't know the context and the history, you're gonna be whatever.
Same with the Bible.
Same with the Bible. Same with the Torah. Same with the Constitution, for that matter. So that opening line was just insane.
A father and son marching in rhythm.
Yeah,
I thought that was crazy because it's multi-generational.
Yep.
You're not just you're bringing your sin, your craziness, and you're involving your kid in it to go firing bullets through the skulls of the children, because that's what happens in all this war and all this fighting that us adults can't get straightened out. Children land dead all the time. Well, yeah, there was a Death Crew operation, SEAL Team 6 operation. Terrible. A couple, right as Trump got elected, and there was this Death Crew operator that got killed, and it was a terrible situation. And I was reading there's an article that got posted about it in, I think it was the Washington Post or the Guardian, and it was recounting how when they raided this village, all these kids were running away, and this kid was describing running away his mom and his little brother, and the kid described the head of his little brother opening up when this, he got, in the crossfire. And, the thing is, you do stuff like, you send guys in so that you don't drone the place. If you've got an if you got a high value target, there's an option of, okay, well, let's just drone the hell out of this guy, right? Let's just drone the hell out of him, but then you go, oh, there's a bunch of civvies there. So you go, okay, let's send in DevGru or send in, and then one dies.
That's gonna minimize the casualties, but then you got shit like that happening, you know, because it's dark and.
Ugh.
But that literally, when I saw that line, skulls of the children, that's what I mean, it was terrible. But father and son marching in rhythm, I mean, it's.
So, you know, like, you feel bad for the kid, you feel bad for the family members of the child, but you also feel bad for the guy who put that bullet out, because I'm sure that wasn't his intention to hit a kid. And then there's got to be times where they strap bombs and stuff to kids and send them toward the. So then you got to say, you know, it puts them in such a difficult position, because they're like, okay, well, it could be just a kid with a bowl of rice, or it could be a kid with a bowl of rice strapped with a.
That's what happened in Vietnam.
Right.
You know, the Viet Cong would send these little kids in there to kamikaze and blow them up. So then, you know, these guys, you just saw your buddy get blown to smithereens. The next Viet Cong kid you see that's walking in your village, you know? And then you come home and you're called a baby killer. Well, you are a baby killer.
Right.
But you can't judge these people that are in war. You only, you know, there you are
and
sitting
that was the war that when people came home, that was the one that there was so much more, like, psychologically, they had so much more to deal with, PTSD and stuff like that, because normally when they come home, you give them a Purple Heart, you give them something because they, you know, they did good. It kind of helps them deal with the trauma of ending other human life. But when they came back, I mean, it was not celebrated at all because of the things that took place for them to be able to accomplish what they accomplished.
Well, the Vietnam War didn't really have the religious. You know, it's like the Iraq War, like post 9/11.
Yeah.
Had this very uneasy religious undertone to it among evangelicals. Like, I remember after 9/11 listening to Christian radio, and there was just all of this, like, and troops and soldiers, and we're gonna get them, and it was almost this, like, worship of the soldier in evangelicalism during the Iraq and the, you know, Afghanistan, you know, all those post 9/11 wars became the soldier in even like our circle of religion. And of course, you know, we all know people that got deployed and all the rest of it. So it was this very weird situation where, and I remember reading stories about a father and son, and there are pieces that are, you know, media pieces about father and son, and it's like this warm, hearty, feel-good story. And it's you know, I hope everybody makes it home okay, and of course you do, and you do hope they make it home okay, but they're going to fucking kill people.
They're going home. They're going to make sure somebody else doesn't make it home okay.
Yeah, there's some other father not making it home to his kid, you know. And I've talked to a lot of these guys, you know. It's crazy.
But this is the problem. We need a solution.
Yeah, and you know, they were talking about father and son marching in rhythm, you know, and that happens a lot. It's the same thing with the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force. There's stories about that where, it's his father and son, and they're protecting the homeland. Because in Israel, when you become an adult, you have to spend, I think it's at least mandatory, 2 years in the IDF. It's mandatory, that's it. And then, of course, you have these mujahideen, these jihadis, that father and son, and there's a ton of stuff in, you know, Islamic history and hadith of father and the sons doing jihad together and all the rest of it. But which again, there's a context around jihad in Islamic thought.
Right.
You don't just strap on an AK-47 and just go to jihad in Islamic thought. Like there are real like boxes you have to check in order to justify like an authentic jihad. You know, all these fucking people jump on a plane and blow up a plane and kill a bunch of innocent people. Like, no. There was a guy who, I'm going off the rails here because there's so much stuff to talk about. I forgot the guy's name, but there's a guy who actually participated in so the Russians went into Afghanistan in the 80s, and we were arming the Afghanis. So I don't know if you've ever heard this conspiracy theory that, you know, bin Laden was a CIA asset.
Yes, I've heard that.
But what was happening was we armed the Mujahideen in Afghanistan to fuck with the Russians because we were in the Cold War with Russia, right? Just like they armed the Viet Cong in Vietnam because it was anyway. So what happened was. So there's this guy who, and they won. The Afghanis won. They kicked the crap out of the Russians. It was a big embarrassment because they were the second greatest superpower in the world, and they got their asses kicked by a bunch of goat herders from Afghanistan. They were wrong.
Right. Yeah.
Those guys got busy. They took care of business, right? And then you get all these conspiracy theorists that say, "Oh no, where did all that where did those American trucks come from?" Well, where do you think they came from? They came from us because we were basically fighting a proxy war through the Mujahideen in Afghanistan. But anyway, this guy is like a scholar of jihad, and he fought side by side with Bin Laden. And this guy literally wrote the book on jihad. And after 9/11, he wrote this like 20-page thing and completely condemned Bin Laden. This is not the way to do jihad. There's certain ways you're supposed to do it. You did not do it the right way. Blah. And like they knew where he was and they didn't touch him. Like this dude was like untouchable because he fought in Afghanistan against the Russians. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he condemned Bin Laden because there are things that you need to boxes you need to check. So it's not that simple as saying, just the Muslims are just blowing people up.
Yeah.
We'll do a podcast on it. But mortars and martyrs, the wordplay here was crazy.
Yeah. Now mortars, that's like the weaponry. What is that? The things that...
On Gears, where you get the thing and then you aim it and it goes...
Yes. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a mortar.
Okay.
Mortars and martyrs.
Wow.
That's insane.
No, wait a minute. What are you seeing? I'm just seeing they become martyrs when the mortars go off, but are you seeing something else?
Well, it's just the wordplay because mortar and martyr sound so close to each other. There's a lot of that in the Hebrew Bible if you know the Hebrew language, but mortars and martyrs, it's just like, I love the wordplay and I love the concept.
Yep.
Because... it's insane. Because a martyr, the literal in Arabic and in Greek
means witness, right?
Yeah, matrios in Greek means witness, and shahid in Arabic means witness. So in Arabic, shahada means your testimony. So like, what are you giving testimony to? What are you testifying to by engaging in all these wars on either side? You know what I mean? And it's like. It's just a crazy thing. Mortars and martyrs. It's insane. Holy war. Unholy followers.
I thought that part was crazy.
Why?
Because the reason that they're engaging in the holy war is because they see themselves to be holy. Like that's what they think, that they're doing something right. But he calls them unholy followers because they're following whoever, and what they're doing is not holy.
Right. It's
just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Brainwashed with death.
La ilaha illallah. Yeah. Yeah.
Whole unholy mess. I just thought that part was great. I was like, whoa. The whole song, I just thought, I really like this one.
Yeah.
So accurate too. Brainwashed with death. An unholy mess. It's just, that's what it was. And you know what? I remember being, I didn't know about the holy wars until I started working.
You mean the Crusades?
Yeah, I didn't know about the Crusades. I'm sure that it might have been talked about in some, but I don't think I really understood what was going on. And I remember I had this job, and I was probably 16 or 17 years old, and I remember somebody saying "Oh, you're a Christian," and I was like, "Yeah," because I would read my Bible on my breaks. And then they were they started talking about the Crusades, and I'm like, what are they talking about? And they were talking about all the deaths that happened through the church. I didn't believe them. I'm like, man, this guy must have his facts mixed up.
So when did you come to that understanding?
Oh, probably when I was in college. Then I was like, oh my gosh, this really happened. But I don't know that I really understood how bad it was, probably until I met you and we were talking. Then, because part of me didn't believe it. Part of me was like, this can't be. How can religious people get that mixed up? I don't understand. I can understand people trying to bully people with their religion and be like, oh, you should believe like us. I can understand being closed-minded. But I don't understand strapping on a weapon and killing somebody. That is so mind-blowing to me. It was so hard to even believe the concept. But then when we started talking and you were like, yeah, and then this and that and all these different events and the witch hunts and all that stuff, I'm like, oh, are you serious? This kind of stuff has been happening all along?
Yeah.
Just disheartening.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. What I liked about this song is that I reject pocket-line political demons who arm the ignorant for election season. I like that he... Yeah,
you reacted to that. What?
Because he expanded it beyond just religion. we know that religion has been used to massacre millions of people. But he also talked about the political side of and he, called them political demons. And it's true. I remember when Bush was going for re-election against John Kerry. And John Kerry was saying, we shouldn't have went into Iraq, blah, 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 blah. That was wrong. We shouldn't have done that. And then Bush basically said, well, you initially voted for the Iraq war. And then Kerry said, well, yeah. And then we got the intel that the intel was bad. There was no fucking WMDs in Iraq. Mm-hmm. So we shouldn't have done it. Mm-hmm. And I remember the far right, and I'm not putting my cards on the table as far as where I land on any of this stuff. Mm-hmm. As you probably know by now, nothing is that simple to me as far right or far left, right? Mm-hmm. But the far right were saying, oh, he's a flip-flopper. I don't know if you remember that during the re-election of Bush, but that was a big thing. He's a flip-flopper. Now, keep in mind, John Kerry had actually seen combat. Bush hadn't seen any combat whatsoever, and somehow the right-wing political machine was able to portray John Kerry as a coward.
Wow.
Who was a flip-flopper. Because he was saying we should pull back on our war hawking over there in the Middle East.
Man.
So, political who arm the ignorant for election season.
Yep.
Or what's his name? It's called wagging the dog. Bill Clinton, during the whole Lewinsky scandal, he sent a couple bombs over there in Serbia. To
get the heat off himself.
Yeah, it's called wagging. It's a political maneuver where you.
That's terrible. How can you do something like that? Why don't you just man up to what you did?
Because it's a button. It's a button. It's a button, or it's a you put in really what it is. It's a code. They say, hey, blah blah blah. You put this code in, and then
How can you do that, knowing full well? Why don't you just face up to it? You know what? It all came out anyway. The dress and everything.
Yeah. It's called wagging.
Unbelievable.
It's called wagging
Unbelievable. The law. I reject the laws of the misguided.
Yeah, false prophets, imprisoned nations, fueling self-annihilation. That's interesting. Imprisoning nations. You get because the average person doesn't want to do any of this shit. Whether Muslim, secularist, Christian, Jew, everybody just wants to be able to go to the fucking store, get a Red Bull, hang out, listen to good music, chill, have a pretty girl, go on with life. Like that's everybody what everybody wants. It's only like a small group of people who hold everybody else hostage to this bullshit. And then everybody has to suffer the consequences for it while they chill out in fucking, Pennsylvania Avenue doing whatever. You too, Obama, you drone king. Obama droned more people than Bush did. So don't start with your simplistic, right, that's right, those Republicans, fuck you. Obama killed a lot more, civvies with his drones than Bush did. I'm saying with his drones. Guy droned the hell out of the Middle East. Blew up mad weddings. We killed Anwar al-Awlaki, who was a U.S. citizen, by the way, with no trial. So don't get all simplistic. Oh, that's right. It's those Republicans. Right. It's those Christians. Don't be dumb.
We have to broaden and open our minds to actually take in the facts and lay them out on the table and take an honest look at something.
Unreal. Servants of Bibles reciting verses as they stand before rifles.
Ooh. Whoa! I missed that part. Are you serious? Where is that?
Right there.
My gosh. Servants of Bibles reciting verses as they stand before rifles.
Remember that, dude?
I was just thinking that. Remember we watched that war documentary or something like that, and the guy was like quoting, "Send me that verse."
Yeah. Isaiah 6, send me.
Yeah. I thought of that.
Yeah, it's actually a special forces motto in some units. Send me. Here I am. Send me.
That wasn't at all what that scripture's about.
Of course, yeah. The original passage is God saying, who's going to go to the nation and tell... Actually, what Isaiah's job was to tell them that the Babylonians were coming to fuck them up because they weren't giving to the poor.
Really?
Yeah. So when it says, who will go for us, and Isaiah says, here I am, send me, he was preaching a message about them being defeated by another army.
Oh my gosh, because they weren't feeding the poor. Yeah, let that be a lesson to you.
And then we take that as who's going to go kill those Arabs? Here I am, send me. Yeah, I'm not against the military. I've got family in the military.
Right.
You know, I've got
Yeah.
not only in the military, other auspicious, departments of whatever. So, we've all had to struggle and think through the implications of this. So don't come at me and say I'm some left wing whatever. You
Right.
don't. Come on. We just have to think.
Yep.
In Saving Private Ryan, when that sniper, he would quote Bible verses before he
That's right.
squeezed the trigger on the
That's
guy.
right.
Now the Germans were evil as hell, right? So it's like, this is a Schutzstaffel, this is the SS going around, and if he doesn't kill this guy, then fucking
That guy's gonna kill him.
Well, he's gonna kill the world. They're trying to establish a 10,000-year Reich, man. So it's but at the same time, it's like, man, don't you feel weird quoting the Bible as you're going to end somebody's life? Like that's crazy to me.
Yeah, but I wonder if it's because, you know how, like, I've met people that are, like, completely against the Bible, they're completely against religion and stuff like that, but then they get themselves in some deep shit and they're so overwhelmed and stressed out, and then all of a sudden they'll be like open, they'll be like, you know what, just can you pray with me, just can you pray with me.
Yeah.
And then they're open for prayer, or they're open for hearing something of the Bible, because there's something about it that just kind of like calms you. Like, I don't know,
wow.
When you read the Bible, there's something calming about it that kind of like can bring some like peace to like kind of stressed out situations. So maybe that's what he was doing. Maybe he was doing the Bible because what he's about to do is so like,
well,
that
he's under
like
stress. It's a stressful thing to take the life of another image bearer of God. So
yeah.
Well, yeah, but there's a reason it's stressful. It's because we shouldn't do it.
Right. Well, I know. I hear you.
But at the same time, I'm not going to sit in here in judgment of those guys because they were put in an impossible situation. Because of Hitler and what his ambitions for world domination were.
I know.
These are 18, 19, 22-year-old kids that are put in a situation where basically it's either that merit or you're on a mission to save the fucking world against these fucking bad guys. Mm-hmm. But World War II, I think, is a little bit different because I felt like in World War II there was a defined bad guy, and it was extremely simple. It was simple. This guy is a fucking madman, and he's talking about literally like taking over the world. Like, ever since World War II, we really haven't had any wars like that, where it was like that clear and black and white and simple.
Yeah.
These motherfuckers are out to take over the world and like eliminate, like how he's like Thanos. It was like the Avengers. Seriously, like it was like he was, you're talking about eugenics and all that shit. Like Hitler had to go. I don't think this song's about that. This line was crazy. There is silence in the house of God. Whoo!
What the heck? I missed that part too.
Because you were just jamming to the music.
That's true, man. I was just taken away from God.
That is a crazy line. That is so insightful. What do you get from that? Why is that so big to you?
Two things, because there's silence in the house of God, because these people they're not listening actually for God, so there's silence in the sense of they're not hearing from God. So even if God is speaking, they're not hearing it. So to them it's silent. They're hearing their own thing and they're going forward. Like, what was driving them was not the voice of God to go and kill all these people like that. And then there's silence in the house of God because people are getting killed. And the thing is, the family of God is much broader than people realize. They want to like narrow it down to just like a few, but it's actually it's broader than we think that it is. So I think that there's silence because the people are dead. What'd you get?
Yeah, I thought that was such a deep line, and I feel like that. I think sometimes with artists that I believe this, and so. I don't think anybody's going to co-sign this with me, whether they're religious or not. I think there are times when God just comes in and just inspires people.
Oh, I totally agree.
To speak for Him, because the church isn't going to do this.
I totally agree with that.
And so when I hear there's silence in the house of God, it's so, to me, like sometimes I feel like these guys are writing stuff that's deeper than they realize.
Oh.
That line,
yeah, but
I'm gonna like be thinking about that line for the next like 5 days. We'll probably do a podcast on just that line alone. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Well, when you think about David in the scriptures, he said things that were prophetic. Like he
Right.
said things that didn't.
He had no
that
idea.
Spoke way into the future, and he had no idea.
He had no idea.
So he was just writing what came to him, and I'm sure it felt like inspiring stuff inside him, and he just was writing.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happens with these people too. I totally agree. I think that God works through their music, and they may not even realize it. It's totally inspiring. Unbelievable.
We will all die for nothing. There is silence in the house of God. There's only the cry of hell. There is silence in the house of God. There's only the cry of hell. Like, there's one sense in which there's silence in the house of God because everybody's dead. Right?
Right.
And there's another sense in which there's silence in the house of God because it's like the church isn't speaking out against this stuff. Like, especially the church of the West has been complicit in this bloodlusting and this warmongering.
Yes.
And like that was one of the big things that we had to fight against all last year. Was these fucking Christians with their AR-15 saying, "You come into my house, I'm gonna fucking blow you up."
Friggin' in the pulpit. They got the Bible and they've got their rifle.
Yeah,
Just
the
in case
rifle in the
somebody comes
pulpit.
in,
Yeah,
blow
so
away.
somebody gonna blow. So like the Western church is particularly.
But then you have like this little old lady who's in her car, and some guy comes in trying to take
at
her.
gunpoint.
She's gunpoint. She tries to take her purse.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she gave him her purse. That was irrelevant to me. She ended up talking to him and sharing with him about God, and then the whole thing.
Yeah.
Who the heck?
The guy ended up crying his eyes out and praying.
But we don't have. That's the thing. A lot of people don't have enough faith to actually believe that. Why don't you try talking to the people?
Well, this proves that you don't believe any of that shit. You know why? Because you know what happened? There was that dude that showed up in the church a couple months ago and blasted. He killed like 82 people or whatever. And so after that, the Christian response in America was to say, I don't know, some of you guys are European, but this is what happened in America. Some dude jumped up and killed like 82 people, right? And so the way that the church responded was to say, shit, we need to arm our churches. We're gonna lock the doors, and if somebody
security
breaks,
guards.
we had security guards with guns and all this shit. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm thinking to myself, like, oh, okay, so this proves you don't really believe any of this shit.
Right.
You don't really want to die for this Christianity stuff. Like,
right.
You don't really want to lay down your.
Like we said, the Christians were being martyred all over the place.
Yeah, we just did that deicide song.
Yes.
And we concluded the video by saying, look, we don't like the song "Kill the Christian,"
right.
But if somebody's supposed to die, it should be us.
Right.
It shouldn't be literally the entire planet Earth. We're supposedly like the most Christianized Western nation in the world, and we are also
these ginormous misses, man.
We're also the most militarized nation on the face of the earth as well. So put it together. But there's silence in the house of God. Like the church in America and in the West is not actively, univocally speaking against this crap, and we actually encourage it. And I don't think there are any simple solutions. I don't like I said, I have family members that are in the military, and I have family members that are in other branches of government or whatever. So I don't think it's that simple. But I think the church has been complicit in a lot of war. And so there's silence in the sense that like we've lost our voice. Like if you can't speak out against something as basic as that, then now you don't have a voice anymore as a church. But yeah, lyrically this guy was on point, and the this song gave you zero breaks.
I loved it. Oh,
it started off like very ominous. It started off that little lead part very ominous, and then it was just like, die for Christ, die for Allah, blah blah blah. It was insane. It was an insane song.
I thought that it was cool too because you could flip it. And I know this is not how they meant it, but like how we said like if anybody's gonna die, it should be the Christians. You know what I mean? Like we should die for what we believe in, to protect other people, to give people a chance to hear what God has to say, whatever. So like if you think about that, and that's playing in the back of your head, there's this woman Perpetua who she died for her faith. They put her in the middle. What is that thing in the Colosseum? And
the arena. The
arena, and she got torn apart. Well, actually, she got thrown with the wild beast, but then they ended up giving her the sword, and that's how she died.
The soldier
he missed.
Didn't want to like kill her.
He was nervous.
He was nervous.
He was new at it.
And she guided that. She's like, okay, this is how she guided the sword to her throat, man. I mean,
right But when you think about that, like that whole like, and like she was so regal when she was dying, I thought, because she said, hold on, like she stopped everything and she said, let me pull up my hair, because she said she didn't want to like see Christ, like as though she had been in mourning. I guess looking all like whatever. She was like, I'm gonna meet my maker, man. But like that whole die for Christ, die for Christ, die for, you know what I mean? Like just dying for Christ. If you were to die for him, you know,
that's the way
for the
to die
Savior,
for
like
Christ.
that's the way with that, like that, man, I loved it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you can flip it. I know
there's a right way to die for Christ and a wrong way to die for Christ.
We're gonna, not other people. We're not gonna kill people.
You're not gonna die for Christ in the process of killing other human beings.
Wow, man. Excellent, excellent song.
Unholy mess. Whew. I mean, what can you do? I mean, holy war.
What?
Nothing. All right, guys. All right. What do you rate this song?
I'm giving it a 10. I loved it. Oh, finally something good.
I think I'm gonna have to give this song a 10, man. This is
Man, seriously, guys.
This is a 10. This is anytime I give a song a 10, I'm saying to myself, this is something I want to show my kids.
Yep.
And I want to say,
This is something I want to add to my playlist.
Tell me about this. What do you think this guy's saying? What do you think the music is saying? What's going on?
Absolutely.
And what do you think of these criticisms? And how would you respond to this criticism? And historically, where do you see this? Yeah.
So this is a popular band or not really?
I've never heard of these dudes.
How is it that you never heard of them? They're so good.
Never heard of them.
See, I wonder. Well, do they have a lot more music, or are they?
I'm sure they do. I'm sure.
They one-hit wonder?
But now it's crazy because now we can't listen to any of these. I can't listen to any music until
I know. But that's good for the people who are fans of this band, because that means it's gonna, start suggesting more of their music because we want to hear more of their stuff.
I feel like this was a special moment, and I would be very surprised if they're able to reach these heights again in the next, whatever. But these guys are very rock and roll, man.
Totally loved it.
Gets a 10. Definitely gets a 10. Did you like it? Was that rock and roll or what?
Yeah. I loved it.
That gets the Song of the Week award, by the way.
Yep.
So
thanks for suggesting it.
It's Thursday, so they've got you got 2 or 3 days to come up with something better than.
See, when I hit stuff like this, like I just want to put the song out there.
I know.
I don't even want to wait for release time. I'm like, oh my word, you guys, we loved it.
But
it's like a boring one. I'm like, are you serious, man? We gotta put that out.
You have to. You have to release it. One time. All right. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.